Welcome to another edition of Fitness in VR, and today it's Sorrento VR, as you've seen from social media. I'm joined once again by Polish Paul. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. Hello, welcome everyone. Another week passed, we're still wearing the same clothes.
Another week, yeah. We live in these clothes. These are our only clothes that we own right now. That's pretty cool. And obviously, as you say, we're actually going to be checking out Sorrento VR this week, which is probably one of the biggest, most popular VR games at the moment. And it's across all platforms. So you can find it if you own a VR headset, you can find some form of Sorrento VR wherever you play. It's amazing. Again, it's the first game from Mixed Realms, a bit like it was with Fifth XR with Box VR. And this is a bit of a different one because it promotes fitness in VR. It's actually won Fitness in VR awards, but it's probably the least family-friendly of games so far.
I'm so glad it's not family-friendly.
Yeah, it's probably not something you would play with your youngsters.
No.
But this Cyber Ninja Slasher is, as I say, it's out across all formats. It's probably also the most intense of the VR games that we've talked about so far. You can really, if you look at, I say, Box VR as kind of a beginner start to VR, and Sprint Vector has been designed for comfort. You could look at Sorrento as kind of an intermediate kind of experience, which really kind of uses all your body, and there's a lot of moving around and looking around at the environment to kind of so it's probably not the most comfortable of the games in VR, but it's a nice step up from the first two games if you want to.
It's like they just went, right, we're doing it, we don't care, we're just gonna add all those options. But also, there is a lot of settings in this game, so people can tweak it. If they don't want to backflips or whatever, they don't have to. So there is a lot as well.
Yeah, actually, that's a really interesting point, because I think Mixed Realms have probably been one of the best at adding customizing the experience more for VR players, even on PlayStation VR, and obviously it's even more customizable again on PC.
I think it's the game that got most options of them all out there for PlayStation VR when it comes to movement and comfort.
Yeah, so you can really tailor that experience to what you want. I mean, you can find what works for you, and then you can just play the game that way. And I think that's a really great thing with VR as a whole, is that when you have those options available to you, you can make that experience your own. So it opens it up to so many more people as well. I mean, you could literally play to the highest intensity and you'd be fine, or you've got something that's lower intensity. And so I think that's a really cool thing. And I think, again, it's a very different experience from the first two games we've talked about, because Box VR is very static. You've got one way to play, essentially. Then Sprint Vector's kind of been custom designed to try for minimal comfort. And then Sorrento is just like, whatever you want to do, customize away, have fun. So there's lots of different types of Sorrento games we mentioned. There's actually a Quest exclusive as well called Untethered. And the PC version has lots of free content updates, which you can't find in other formats as well. So the PC probably has more options available too.
They announced already. They said for PlayStation VR, they're just gonna do one big update with things what are on PC already, because they always update in this game on PC. But they said, we're just gonna do one big update for you one day eventually. They didn't say when, so might be not even this year. But they said it will come. We're gonna put all the new content together and just do it like that.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's important to kind of keep all formats kind of on a similar pegging, because obviously there is a big fan base for Sorrento on PSVR as there is on other formats. So it's great that they're going to keep supporting the game and making it.
I think it comes just due to the size of the studio. Of course, most studios publishing on PSVR, they're only small teams. And as we know, on PSVR, it's always harder to release updates. So what they're going to try to do, just do one, and that's it. It's done.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a very good point. I suppose a lot of studios are they're still at the infantile stages, so I mean they haven't really fully grown. I mean, you've got the likes of fast travel games that you've noticed have grown with every release, and they're becoming one of the bigger forces in VR at the moment. But some are just a couple of people together who are just making a game, and and I think it's relying on it's funny when you look at VR. I think VR relies on the independent scene, whereas obviously they don't get the AAA. Yeah.
But also, that's why you get so many original games, like Sorrento, for example.
Yeah, definitely. And, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It's a ninja. You can essentially feel like a ninja, like never before.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, you've played Shinobi as a kid, and people love Shinobi and Ninja Gaiden and things like that. But this is a true, you might as well be wearing the full ninja gear in your living room.
Yeah, it's awesome. All the wall jumps, do triple wall jumps, jump off it, do a backflip, slash 2-3 people in half, you know.
It's incredible. And as we mentioned, it's not, in that regard, it's not particularly family friendly because there are some slow-mo executions in there. You know, there's a bit of gore, you know, there's some, you can slice people's heads off, you can cut legs, cut limbs. It's really full on, isn't it?
Yeah. But that's what makes it so good as well.
Yeah. It's like you do feel like a ninja. And I think the bullet time aspect of it really is a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
Like, so you slow down time when you're literally coming onto someone, and then it's just hack and slash away. It's incredible. But yeah, so it's interesting as well. We've mentioned about Sorrento compared to the other games we mentioned as well, that it's also won VR Fitness Awards. So it's been recognized once again as one of those games that you could play as an exercise tool, which it's almost certainly wasn't designed as an exercise app.
Yeah.
It was designed
people
to
just exercising and don't even know about it while playing Sorrento, you know, doing squats and everything. They do all those movements, having fun. Nobody realizes how much exercise they do as well while playing this game. And it's like you said, it never was designed for it, but that's a very nice side effect of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, I think that's the other thing as well. I mean, if you wanted to use it as that, it would absolutely work as that, because it's a very mission structured game. So you don't necessarily have to play it for, you know, an extended period of time. You could literally dive into one or two missions, get your workout, and then you can play something else.
Yeah.
So it's not like a full on like Last of Us, or it's not a kind of like a full campaign or Half-Life Alyx where you're literally playing from start to finish. You know, it's incredible. But it's also one of the most widely covered VR games. I mean, we've talked about some applications where, you know, you look at killer apps at VR. Obviously, we've mentioned Half-Life Alyx. You've looked at Beat Saber. I would say Sorrento is probably knocking on that door too, because I mean, when you hear the name, you associate it with VR, and you associate kind of like those types of games with like, yes, I have to try this in VR. So yeah, it's one of those mainstream apps that I think that everyone wants to try and experience for themselves.
Yeah, I think everyone should who owns VR headset, because it's such a great experience.
And I think one of the other cool things about Sorrento is that there's different weapons you can use. So it's not just guns. I mean, I think a lot of the screenshots show you firing guns, but there's obviously the swords, there's throwing kunais, there's like daggers,
so
everything and anything.
Claws.
Yeah. Oh, the claws. Oh my gosh, the claws. Yeah. Yeah, so it's got a bit of everything to it, isn't it? It's one of those games that just really kind of, I don't know. It's just it feels fresh and enjoyable when you're
so good, so fun.
Yeah, and it's kind of got an RPG system to it as well, which I thought was interesting. So like you unlock weapons over time, you can kind of upgrade them.
Yeah.
So there is kind of depth to it as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it's really fun. It keeps you playing.
And that's the important thing I think at the moment, is that you want to be keeping playing these types of games because you want to kind of experience them.
You're always learning some new moves, you know, some new executions. There's always something to find in Sorrento.
Yeah. You played it. So you played it at launch, didn't you? When it came out?
Yeah. So many people was waiting for it, for the PlayStation VR version. It was one of those games that are really hyped before the release. Like now we've got that with Gorn and Saints and Sinners. Back then it was Sorrento. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, when people talked about what PlayStation VR could benefit from, it was always the game that came up, I think. Obviously, the conversation's changed a little bit now. People talk about things like Half-Life Alyx is probably the conversation stopper now.
Yeah.
But certainly Sorrento, now that it's on PlayStation VR, I think it needed to come to that format, and I think now it has. It's opened and it's gone to a new like mainstream level, really.
Yeah.
But it's as you mentioned, it's there is some multiplayer as well on PC.
Some kind of limited co-op on PSVR. I can't recall it now correctly. I don't think you can go through the game in co-op, but there is some sort of like mode when you can see another player.
Mm-hmm. But I think one of the interesting points just to get to on Sorrento before we kind of close this, we've mentioned about how like exercise in VR is kind of like a lot of the apps that you're playing and you're in the headset and what you're seeing is what you're actually actively doing. Sorrento is really interesting in that it supports different equipment outside of VR. So there's haptic suits. You've probably seen a lot of videos of people actually in their haptic suits, and they kind of like there's the blows they go and it feels like they're being hit and struck in the game. but also the Cat VR treadmill. So people are actually playing the game on a treadmill.
Oh, right, nice.
So I mean, people are actually using equipment that can be used as a fitness kind of, benefiting to benefit you in general, but they're also accompanying that with the game as well. So I mean, do you think there's a future there with VR kind of connecting with equipment to really kind of enhance the fitness experience?
I think so. Once somebody invents something what is very easy to put on yourself, so it don't take too much time. Because I think with VR, even at the beginning, many people didn't like it because of all the cables and all the messing around you had to do before, I think that's why the Quest is so successful now, because you're just putting it on and it works. So once somebody works out something like that, you just quickly put it on and it works straight away, then yeah, definitely.
Because you can use like Bluetooth and things like that to connect to things. So I mean, maybe there's something in that, or using infrared to connect the devices together. But I think that's a really that's a huge thing potentially for the future of VR, is that you have to be careful about health and safety, kind of implications. Like, if you've got a headset on, you get so into it that you fall over and things like that. I mean, that's always a concern with VR, which we've seen many videos of that. But I think as time goes on, I think they'll find ways to make that safer for people to do as more of a mainstream, device, without having to have people there to kind of constantly monitor you and things like that. So, yeah, I think that there's a real future in that, definitely.
So many good things to come. We just don't know about them yet.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We've obviously, we're on the cusp of next gen.
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, PlayStation VR 2.
I know, whoever owned PlayStation VR from day one, from 2016, they're like ready for it now. Can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, for you, obviously, just to slightly deviate from this point, what do you want from PlayStation 2? As someone who extensively plays PlayStation VR games, what do you think they need to do at this point?
Well, for me, more power from PS5, that's gonna be big bonus, because we probably gonna get those games what we didn't had in past. So I think probably Bethesda gonna do Fallout 4 finally for PSVR once PS5 releases. So that's what I'm hoping for. But when it comes to PSVR 2, I think you're still gonna have to have this one cable to connect it to PS5 to have the power, But I would definitely like better controllers, with proper phone sticks, proper haptic feedback and everything, and better button placement and inside-out tracking. So, you're inside-out 360 degrees. So I think we're going to see that. I think that's what's going to happen, and higher resolution screen.
Yeah, I think the controllers are a big point, aren't they? I mean, obviously they were never truly designed for VR. They're basically, the Move controllers are inherited from the PlayStation 3, so there certainly needs to be something there to make them more custom fit for VR.
Yeah, they're 10 years old now. 10 years. So they did well to have controller that lasts through all the, for 10 years.
Yeah. But the fascinating thing as well, there was that nav controller, which was never used really for anything. And then obviously the Golem patch came out.
Yeah, and everyone went like, oh, I just bought nav controller for £3. I'm going to use it with Golem, yeah.
Yeah, and then you think to yourself, well, why hasn't this been used in other VR games? It's fascinating. It's been there the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's nav controller. It's don't detect your moving your hand forward and backwards and that. So
yeah. But yeah, so it's obviously, I think that's certainly what I would hope for, and I think wireless is another big part of that as well for PlayStation VR. I think the Oculus Quest has changed the conversation a lot in the last couple of years, being a wireless headset. And I think it's probably going to end up having to become an industry standard at some point, because it's that's what people like, convenience. So
yeah,
and it's convenient.
Yeah, I don't have Quest, but I'm hearing everyone who bought it, they're super happy with it. I never heard one person who said, I bought Quest and I don't like it.
Yeah. It seems it's becoming a preferred way to play VR for sure.
Yeah.
And I think probably from when the people who might be interested in the fitness applications and such, I think it suits that much more, because you can literally play wherever you want to, without the worry of kind of tripping over yourself or whatever. Yeah. So you've got your set space. So yeah. Definitely. But just to summarize on Sorrento, what is it you love most about it? And if there was to ever be a Sorrento 2, what would you most like to see?
I love the most this freedom of movement in Sorrento. So pretty much what you can imagine you can do in the game. It makes you feel like a proper ninja. In the future, if they was doing another one, I would like for enemies to maybe take more punch, so you don't slash them straight away. Maybe, like if you saw games like Blade and Sorcery, or even Saints and Sinners, Walking Dead, so they can take a bit more of that, beating.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Yeah, so the enemy types are all different in Sorrento, so I guess it'd be nice to see some different kind of, methods of attack and methods of kind of like the impact you have on your blows and kind of like how different the executions can be and how difficult, how many difficulties there are when you're fighting certain enemies. So that'd be really interesting, actually. That'd be really cool. But yeah, that's going to sum it up for Sorrento. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned to the channel for much more Sorrento based content, and we'll be back next week for another mystery game. Till then.